So, is Netflix's new film Windfall worth the watch? Well, that depends. Do you want to see a home invasion with 3 amazing actors that has none of the usual things you'd expect in a home invasion movie? And I don't mean like, oh, cool, so they're subverting expectations. They're doing new and different things. No, not at all. Is there the suspense and tension and terror that you'd expect from a movie trapped inside one house with a kidnapper, potential killer, and the people who live in the home? No, absolutely not. This movie is tensionless. There is no mood, no atmosphere. There is no suspense whatsoever. There's maybe, you could argue there's suspense like twice for about half a minute towards the end of the film, but for most of the film, it's just 3 people standing about or walking about. I had no sense of urgency. I had no sense of fear or terror for the kidnappers or for the kidnapper, because there's a little bit of a twist of who's the real bad guy in this situation. Claustrophobia. A home invasion movie usually has a sense of claustrophobia. You're trapped, you're stuck, you're isolated in this house with the killer, kidnapper, whoever, the villain of the story. There's no sense of that in this, because we're on this big, beautiful outside vacation home with acres and acres of orange groves and just orchards of oranges and big outside areas, and they're just wandering about, and they're wandering through this big, gorgeous looking house. Well, I mean, one upside of that is it's a nice looking film, just in terms of like the orange groves, they look nice. The house, it looks nice. It's a billionaire's house. Of course it looks nice. Who cares though? They're just wandering about. There's no sense of being stuck and trapped and isolated and that feeling of needing to get out. And the third key thing I find a home invasion film has is the feeling of like kind of bringing it to your own life. Like when you're watching it, you're like, oh my God, can you imagine if someone broke into my house right now? Like that feeling of kind of relatability and like that horror of someone breaking into your own home and just that terror and that fear. And I was watching this last night and not 1 second of this film did I go, oh my God, maybe I should close the blinds or double check the locks or any of that kind of, paranoia or fear. None of it. None of it whatsoever. These characters are so unlikable. They're so rich. They're the 1%, billionaire 1%. Who cares? Who cares if they get robbed? This film has 2 things working for it. One is the score. The soundtrack is amazing. It's beautiful. It feels kind of unique and different, but it has this kind of old-timey kind of feeling that kind of reminded me of films of ye olden days. I don't know if that's accurate or true, if there was something to do with the, the choice of, musical instruments in the kind of orchestral sound, but it was a beautiful score. It almost tricked me into thinking I was watching something at some point, but then you realize, no, they're just standing about. They're just walking about. They're just sitting around and talking, but there's no added tension or drama or excitement. It's very cliche. It's very like, oh, yeah, he saw that thing in the person. Oh, later, he reveals it later. Ah, very clever. That's not draft one kind of stuff at all. This is a finished film. It's just nothing, but at times I'm liking this score. The score's really good. Like the opening scene with just a big shot of the house and the titles come up and then just the score plays. Beautiful. I was so in. And then it's like, all downhill from there. The other great thing in this film is the cast. The cast is amazing. We've got 3 people and a 4th person for 5 minutes, but it's a 3-person cast. We've got Lily Collins and Jesse Plemons as this rich, big tech billionaire guy and his wife. And then we've got Jason Segel, the everyman, the kidnapper, the bad guy. Maybe he's not the bad guy. And all of them are amazing actors, and it's really great to see them perform, but they don't really get anything to do. Jesse Plemons kind of chews a little bit of scenery, but it's few and far between. It feels very cliche, and both him and Lily Collins get one monologue. Monologues are... That's generous. They get one little scene where they go, oh, woe is me, I'm white and privileged and rich, I'm one of the 1%, and it's so tough, it's so hard, oh, woe is me. Fantastic. You've set up these people you thought would be the heroes, I guess, but they're the villains. Or maybe it's all grey and, but it's not that complicated. It's just, they're very unlikable and they're self-righteous and they suck. So who cares? Who cares about them? Shouldn't I care about the people who are getting home invaded? Shouldn't I care? Okay, so if I'm not going to care about them, I guess the attacker, the kidnapper, the home invadee, he is our hero now. We're going to have a little bit of a twist. No, Jason Segel is playing against type. Well, I thought he was playing against type because he's going to be the villain, the kidnapper. But no, I mean, technically he's playing against type, but only as so far as usually he's charismatic and charming and awesome. And in this, he's charismaless. There's nothing going on. He's just a big hulking man who stands around and just is there. He barely looks like he's acting. And I could kind of see how they're kind of making it like he's restraining his feeling and emotion. And he's trying to hide it and keep in control of the situation. But no, it just comes across like he's just sitting around doing nothing. And he's like, I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do in this movie? And they're like, I don't know, just stand there. People like your face, just stand there. That'll be good enough. Not good enough, movie. How did you convince these actors to... I guess they just wanted a holiday in this amazing vista, this amazing vacation home in the middle of wherever the hell. It's a beautiful house, and I guess it would have been fun filming. They're all like sexy famous actors and all like, look, we're all just gonna bond and have fun. Oh, we don't have to even act in this movie? Even better. How much money do I get? Amazing. So close to being great, but so far away. I don't even know how it managed it. Like... There are so many little ideas in here that could have worked and could have been interesting, but honestly, I just found it so utterly boring, and then the last 5 minutes were good enough that it kind of frustrated me how bad the rest of the film was, and it's really disappointing that all these actors in this type of film isn't like kind of, you know, a little bit of an instant classic. Instead, it's, once again, one of the completely forgettable Netflix films. So my final rating for this film, and whether I recommend you give it a watch or not give it a watch. Well, my review is, I fell asleep the first time I watched it, and I actually had to rewatch it this morning. Make of that what you will. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what you guys thought of Windfall. Am I right? Does this suck? Or are you like, no, Jax, you're wrong. Look at all these reasons I've pointed in my comments about why it was great. I'd love to know. Super curious. Yeah, just a real shame. Love Jason Segel and Jesse Plemons. Just, it's a real shame this sucks. It really, so disappointing.